Welcome back to the show. My name's Mark Nixon, and I'm going to call it the way it is. This was not the win we were looking for. I want to thank all of the conservatives that went out and voted. You made a massive difference, and it was far from a loss. What we got was the best case scenario out of a bad result. Another shaky, unstable liberal minority. This government is on life support. The seat count is fractured. The foundation is cracked. And it's not going to last another 18 months. That is my opinion. And when the next election comes, we're going to be stronger. We're going to be unified. And we're going to win. We will be ready. Until then, I am going to pledge right now that I'm going to continue to fight for all of you to make this the best country on planet Earth. We are not going to back down. We are not going to slow down. It's time to turn it up. We got to all get back to work because we need to finish this job. Let's get into the show. I'm going to be recapping the election and talking about what is going to come next. Let's go. I find it actually incredible. Canada in 4 months, they helicoptered in a WEF net zero global banker to one of the richest natural resource places on planet Earth. They ran a state-funded media campaign for 4 months, and yet, thank heavens for all of you conservatives, they did not win and get that majority government. They almost succeeded. This was not the result that we were looking for. But I want to be crystal clear. This was the biggest night in Canadian history for the Conservatives. A massive movement and change is occurring inside Canada. 7.9 million Canadians voted for the Conservatives. That is close to 42% of the popular vote. That is a record. The momentum is real. The movement is happening, but it came at a cost. Pierre Poilievre has lost his seat. And it's not because of the lack of support. It's because of the ridiculous sabotage they did to his campaign with the longest ballot in Canadian history with 91 people on the ballot. This made our democracy look like a complete joke. So here's where we landed. The Conservatives are up 24 seats from last election. The Liberals are also up 11. But NDP got absolutely wrecked. They're down 19 seats, and the Bloc are also down 11. Jagmeet Singh not only lost his own seat, but he is no longer the leader of the NDP party. And history will remember him as the biggest loser in Canadian politics. And Maxime Bernier also lost his seat again. And the key ridings like Brampton, the PPC voters, there was 276 of them. If they voted for the Conservatives would have won that riding. And that goes for all of the votes for the PPC. There are so many ridings that are within 100 or 200 votes. Literally, that would have changed the outcome of this election. And let's not forget about Doug Ford. He basically exposed himself to be a liberal. Yeah, that's right. And him and his liberal, not conservative, cronies interfered with this election. He was planting stories with the mainstream media and tried to kneecap Pierre Poilievre's campaign. And get this, Pierre Poilievre actually performed better than Doug Ford did in his provincial election, where he only got 42.9% of the votes in February, and Pierre Poilievre pulled 44.5% of the vote last night. Then we have Mark Carney parading around as if he just won the Super Bowl. But let's be honest, the only reason he crossed the finish line is because of the corporate media, CBC, and the establishment parasites that did all of their dirty tricks, and they still barely got enough. And let's not forget about all of those pollsters that were completely wrong. And where are they all today? They're all hiding. But there is a silver lining. Nearly 8 million Canadians are awake, alert, and ready to fight for Canadians' future. We didn't lose. We are just reloaded. The establishment is on borrowed time. And we live to fight another day. And next time, we're coming for the entire thing. Let's start off today's segment with Doug Ford. Conservatives across the country are absolutely furious with Doug Ford. Before we get to Doug Ford, this is how the election turned out. The Liberals have 168 seats. The Conservatives have 144 seats. The NDP have 7. The Green Party has 1. And Bloc Québécois has 23. You need 172 seats to form a majority government, meaning we have a minority government in Canada. And that means, are the NDP 7 seats, are they going to be propping up the government? Or is Mark Carney going to make a deal with 4 of them to give them some kind of special deal for them to move and cross the line and become Liberals? We're going to have to watch and see what happens. And before we get to Doug Ford, one of the things that is absolutely infuriating about last night is Canada. You could thank your liberal boomer for last night's election results. Not the boomers that voted conservative, the liberal boomers. Their number one issue was dealing with Donald Trump. Their lowest concern for Canada is the housing affordability and making Canada a better place. Their priorities are completely upside down. Let's take a look at this chart. So as you can see right here, look how far they are. Over 50% of the boomers were worried about Donald Trump. And check out making housing more affordable. It's barely a blip on the map. And if you take a look at making Canada a better place, that is the lowest out of all options. They really don't care to make Canada a better place. Just think about that. Let's watch Conservative MP Jamil Jirvani go nuclear on Doug Ford, and he's 100% right. Canadians will not forget what Doug Ford did. The accountability is just getting started.
In Bowmanville, North Oshawa, and you said to them, among other things, that Doug Ford was a problem for you in this campaign. You said that he sabotaged the Conservative campaign. That's your words. You said he was a hype man for the Liberals. Take me through how you see that.
Yeah, well, look, Doug Ford just went through an election. I have differences of opinion with him. I don't like how he's managed healthcare or education. But out of respect, we didn't say anything. Federal party, we didn't get in his way. When it was our turn to run an election, he couldn't stay out of our business. Always getting his criticisms and all his opinions out, distracting our campaign, trying to make it about him, trying to position himself as some kind of political genius that we needed to be taking cues from.
Was it him specifically? Was it his campaign manager, Corey, tonight? Do you see Doug Ford as a problem for the federal party in the outcome of this race?
I see Doug Ford as a problem for Ontario and for Canada. I think he's not doing a great job in running this province, and now he's trying to exercise his influence over other levels of government, and it's not like this guy is doing anything particularly well.
You did used to work for him.
I did. I'm speaking from experience. I tried to fix problems in this province, and he kept getting in his way and all his goons around him all the time. They wouldn't make anything better, and now we're seeing him because this guy's a political genius because he beat Bonnie Crombie and Stephen Del Duca, and now we got to sit around getting advice from him? No. He has taken the provincial Conservative Party and turned it into something hollow, unprincipled, something that doesn't solve problems. He's glad-handing with Chrystia Freeland, having coffees and lattes with Mark Carney, and I'm sitting here saying we need to be fighting for change and something new and something different, not being a hype man to the Liberal Party.
Some would argue that the challenge within the federal Conservative movement is that there are these divisions, divisions that in some ways you're outlining tonight, and that it is the thing that stops or prevents, holds back the federal party from the majority government that it seeks. Do you see that as a possible outcome to some of the fractions and frictions that exist within the federal party?
There is a lot of unity from Conservatives across the board. Peter MacKay and Stephen Harper and Jason Kenney, James Moore, all sorts of people who've been part of our movement for a long time, united behind Pierre. They're opportunists like Doug Ford, and I think it's not about ideology or differences of beliefs. It is about some people believing our purpose as Conservatives is to be an alternative to what the Liberals offer, and then there are people like Doug Ford who are opportunists, and I reject that outright.
Do you have any leadership ambition?
And then Canadians woke up to this. Doug Ford published on his social media account, "Congratulations, Prime Minister Mark Carney, on your election victory." Of course he's thanking Mark Carney. He actually actively tried to get him elected. Thank you to all the candidates who put their name on the ballot. What a complete joke. So I responded to Doug Ford with this wonderful post. You call yourself a conservative, you are far from it. It's absolutely disgusting to watch. And you know what? We all know that you voted and who you supported in this election. He voted for the Liberals. And as Mario Zelaya says, your buddy won. Congratulations to you. You're now the Ontario and Canada's conservative #1 biggest trader. Take a look at the comment section and get an understanding of how Canadians see you. We will not forget. His account blew up after he made that post. And as you can see, there's nearly 400,000 views. And all I have to say is all the people that voted for Doug Ford as thinking he was conservative during the provincial election, they're on his comment section. It has exploded with people that are never voting for Doug Ford ever again. And here's a meme. Liberal, you know what? Now I want to cover Danielle Smith. She provided a full statement in response to an election of a Liberal government. Alberta has had enough. 10 years of Liberals blocking pipelines and blocking Alberta's opportunities to grow and prosper, which would ultimately benefit all of Canada. Let's see what Danielle Smith had to say. She wrote, I want to congratulate Prime Minister Mark Carney on his minority government election victory last night. I want to sincerely thank Pierre Poilievre for his powerful and principled advocacy against the last decade of punitive taxation and anti-resource policies that have made our country weak, more divided, and overly dependent on the United States. Mr. Poilievre's vision for a safer, more affordable, united and prosperous Canada drove the policy debate in this country for the last several years and has inspired millions to see the unique potential of our nation. While the Liberals and New Democrats deemed and demonized Albertans, our values, and our industries for political gain, Mr. Poilievre made empowering Albertans and our energy resource sector a cornerstone of his campaign. His respect and admiration for Albertans could not have been clearer. He is and continues to be a true friend of Alberta. As Premier, I invite the Prime Minister to immediately commence working with the government to reset the relationship between Ottawa and Alberta with meaningful action rather than hollow rhetoric. A large majority of Albertans are deeply frustrated that the same government that overtly attacked our province economy almost unabated for the last 10 years has been returned to government. As Premier, I will not permit the status quo to continue. Albertans are proud Canadians that want this nation to be strong, prosperous, and united. But we no longer tolerate having our industry threatened and our resources landlocked by Ottawa. In the coming weeks and months ahead, Albertans will have the opportunity to discuss province's future, assess various options for strengthening and protecting our province against future hostile acts from Ottawa, and to ultimately choose a path forwards. As Premier, I will facilitate and lead this discussion and proceed with the sincere hope of securing a prosperous future for our province within a united Canada that respects our province's constitutional rights, facilitates rather than blocks the development and exports of our abundant resources, and treats us as a valued and respected partner within Confederation. Our government will be holding a special caucus meeting this Friday to discuss this matter further. I will have more to say after this meeting has concluded. What are your thoughts on all of this, Canada? It looks like Alberta is divided. They are furious that the Liberals are back in power, and they don't want to have another 4 years where they're landlocked and they're sending all of these transfer payments. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here, and you are going to get the full report from me as things materialize. I want to show you the election map to show you how is it possible that the Liberals ended up winning. Take a look at the West. It's all blue, but when you go down to the lower mainland, yeah, that is a major problem for a blue wave. The lower mainland, and then when you go across Alberta, basically all of Alberta voted blue except for one riding in Edmonton. And then if you go down to Toronto, And this is a major problem. Look at Toronto, all red. And one of the biggest things that are infuriating is look at this riding right here. Adam Van Couverden. This guy should not be in politics. He is unhinged. He should not have been reelected. He needs to go float on a canoe somewhere. And right beside this, there's another riding. Karina Gold was reelected. It is absolutely unbelievable. Who are these people? Do they not read anything? Do they not look a little bit deeper than the surface? This makes zero sense. And check out this riding. Chrystia Freeland won in a landslide. I actually don't understand how people could literally vote for this type of incompetence. And you could also thank your wonderful people that live inside Montreal. They all voted Liberal as well. And also, the folks in Ottawa have also voted Liberal. And can you believe it? Pierre Poilievre, which has received near the highest amount of votes in Conservative history, and he's the leader of the Conservative Party, lost his own riding to Bruce Fanjoy, a guy that is unknown. I have no idea who this guy is, but he is not more qualified than Pierre Poilievre. There is something going on in this country, and it makes zero sense. And in Pierre's riding, this longest ballot initiative needs to be investigated. Check out David Crokin from CBC.
This is the ballot you're dealing with in Carleton, right? This is what the longest ballot, this is what 91 names look like, right? And you got to do this to kind of find Pierre Poilievre. He's right there, by the way, on the ballot. Bruce Fanjoy, the Liberal, is right there on the ballot. But just look at the sheer girth of this thing. Right? Just look at this, 91 names. So you got to get this, you got to write it, you got to fold it up, they got to stuff it into, I don't know, a mail box as opposed to a ballot box. And there were 43,000 of these cast in the advance vote, right? So that's already in there in the system. That's why they got that special dispensation to go early. So while we may know that the Liberals are going to form government, we don't yet know whether it's going to be a majority government or not. Those by-elections that we were talking about, this happened in Toronto.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. This entire thing should never be a thing. There should be 4 people at maximum on a ballot. None of this 91 different people to choose from trying to sabotage Pierre Poilievre's riding. And just so that people are aware, Canada is divided in 2. This is the final vote count. Blue across the west and red across the east. Let's see what happens in the coming weeks. I will report on Alberta. And here we have Pierre Poilievre announced that he's going to remain as party leader. He's a strong leader. He was responsible for this massive movement for change across Canada.
Thank you. It will be an honor to continue to fight for you and to be a champion of your cause as we go forward.
And we need Pierre Poilievre more than ever in the House of Commons to keep our government to account. And one of the things that I'm the most disappointed about is we're not going to be defunding the CBC. Right here, we have Rosemary Barton immediately after Pierre Poilievre did not win his majority government say that, you know what, the Conservatives want him to step down. Do you know how frustrated I am hearing this fake made up news? And watch Jason Kenney call Barton out.
I think it's very clear, regardless, we'll see what happens inside his own riding, and we're being very careful because advance votes and all those kinds of things. But he was definitely laying the groundwork that he has no intention of leaving, and he was pointing to the proof points as to why he deserves to stay and continue this fight. And I know you think that he will. I do know people who are already gearing up to try and push him out. We'll see what happens.
Well, I know a lot of Conservatives in Canada, and I haven't heard that from anybody. Not to say they don't exist.
Well, they exist. I don't know if they tell you, but they told me.
He certainly has. He certainly has earned, in my view, the right to stay on as leader, for the reasons I've already articulated and that he did tonight. Look, he's got to show some humility for sure. Any leader who loses in any circumstance has to do that.
Isn't that absolutely disgusting to watch? I honestly hope that we could get some accountability for our disgusting mainstream media in Canada. Let's just look at a couple comments here. Rosemary, Canuck Dividends. Rosemary Barton should be fired, and I agree. CBC fired Don Cherry for making comments about those people, and CBC should have equal punishment for Rosemary. I agree. And I agree with this comment by Marsha Cooper. I agree with Kenny. And as far as Barton goes, how many true conservatives does she actually know? I don't think she speaks to conservatives at all. It's all a lie. And I want to put things into perspective for everyone. The Maritime Provinces has 32 federal seats and Alberta has 37. Alberta has twice the amount of people. Can you believe this? We need reform in Canada. And as Mr. Sunshine states here, I want to thank all the conservative content creators across Canada. Your efforts made a massive difference. And here's what Mr. Sunshine said. We gave it our all. Everyone gave it their best. Pierre did a tremendous job campaigning. Creators branded together and gave their maximum effort. Even though tonight wasn't the result we wanted, the work has just begun, and I agree with him completely. It's time to put things into overdrive. And it's quite frustrating because the PPC did not win any seats, and their vote went directly to the Liberals. Let's take a look at Kitchener. This riding, the 1.3% for PPC, if it went to the Conservatives would have won this riding. Instead, the PPC voted for Tim Lewis, and Tim Lewis won. And Peter Schiff here nails it. Canada just lost a major battle in the trade war. Canadians finally ousted Trudeau, only to replace him with another Liberal, Mark Carney. Despite having an excellent alternative candidate, Conservative candidate Pierre Poilievre, but his perceived association with Trump torpedoed his candidacy. No, the Liberal and mainstream media torpedoed Pierre Poilievre's candidacy. And the Financial Post posted right after the election, Albertans say that they're serious about separation after the Liberal win. I'm going to finish with this picture. Is the West going to separate from the East? Is this a reality in Canada? I'd like to hear from you in the comment section on this subject. The one thing I got from this election is that Canadians are banding together, and I can't wait to continue to provide all of you valuable data-driven content moving forwards. We need to continue to fight to gain back the Canada that we once knew. I'll see you on the next report.